Hey everyone, it's Writing with Mr. Gilbert, and today is Wednesday, May 6th. I hope you had a great May 5th. Happy Cinco de Mayo to you all. We just had dinner and made some amazing tacos here at the Gilbert residence in Derry, New Hampshire. What's new? Well, today we're going to continue our writing Can Do with Jenny Archer. And just like we've been doing, we're going to just plan out the beginning events today. You guys are going to do the middle and end on your own. In because again, this question is basically a retell. We're answering the question what happened in the story. Um, sorry, what happened in the story can do Jenny Archer. You're going to start by explaining with a topic sentence, doing a little bit of framing, and going right into your beginning events. So why don't we go ahead and get started with a topic sentence? Now, this is basically a retell, so your topic sentences are definitely going to vary for this specific question. What happened in the story of Jenny Archer? Let's go ahead and let's write a topic sentence down. Make sure you're indenting when you're writing, and you write yours, and then I'll write mine. Okay, so for this one, it was a little bit more challenging, and I was thinking, in this case, you could almost frame in your topic sentence. So you could say Jenny Archer was a student in a third grade classroom, or lots of exciting things happened to Jenny Archer. Um, no, wait, did I say third grade classroom? Was it a third grade classroom, or am I making that up? I think I'm making that up because I'm thinking we read an article about third grade. I can't remember the grade now. I don't believe it actually mentioned the grade. Okay, so maybe you don't say third grade, because again, you want to stick to the text because this is a retail. I'm going to say lots of exciting things happened to Jenny Archer, and you know what? Let's actually, I'm gonna say at school because all this is actually taking place. The setting of the story is at school, so we might as well introduce that in the setting. Okay, so now this is the part where you do want to frame a little bit out in your piece of writing. Excuse me, I have to sneeze. Oh, Mr. Goodwit's getting old. That hurt his neck. um, so, framing means providing a little bit of background information. Our first piece of evidence, we're talking about Mrs. Pike introduces a contest. Well, who's Mrs. Pike, right? Where is Jenny Archer? Where is this happening at? You want to go back, and why don't we read right now? Why don't you go back and reread this first part? I believe we read up to paragraph 10. So why don't you read paragraph 1 through 10 right now and just do a little bit of framing before you provide that background information. Where's the setting? Where's all this taking place? What's happening? It would also be good, again, to take a look at paragraph 3 and 4. Mrs. Pike, the teacher of this classroom, also introduces things that are not so exciting sometimes. Um, and we start with exciting. Okay. So I think it's fair enough to frame this out here as well. So I'm going to go ahead and let's get started with my framing piece right now. Jenny was in Mrs. Pike's class. I'm going to say Mrs. Pike had often given. They're not assignments. You know what? Let's not say often. I was going to say often given assignments, but say Mrs. Pike had often introduced. um, what is the actual wording of this? Let's just say things for now, things that were not the most exciting in her classroom. I'm going to pick that spelling in a second. Let's go back and let's reread this. Let's make sure it makes sense because, again, we want to provide some context for the reader so they know exactly what we're talking about. Mrs. Pike had often introduced things that were not the most exciting in her classroom. Okay, so now we can go into the actual retail part of that, this, and we can say Mrs. Pike introduces contest ideas. So let's start with, however, comma, this time Mrs. Pike introduced a very interesting and exciting contest. Now, why don't you go ahead and you write your next bullet point as well? I'll give you a second, and then I'm going to start really dragging these details out. So I'm going to give you a couple minutes to write your details, and then we're do it together. Toby. All right. So let's go ahead and let's talk about some exciting, some not. We kind of talked about that a little bit. So Jenny pushes back her glasses and collects cans to collects tins to buy camera. Okay. So let's start dragging this out now. Now we can kind of start connecting these dots. Oftentimes, if you've ever done like a dot to dot, this is kind of like a dot to dot, right? The topic sentences are for is dot number 1, and we have to get to dot number 20, but we have to connect all those dots in between. And the way we do that is through framing in this first paragraph to really introduce our details and outline our story. So, however, this time Mr. Pike introduced a very interesting and exciting contest. Let's say Jenny Archer pushed her glasses back onto her nose to express interest in the contest. Mrs. Pike, and now we're introducing the movie, said, let's go back and let's actually find that detail. Okay, right here, paragraph 10, the class that collects the most cans will use the camera to make a movie. Okay, Mrs. Pike said that, whoops, I have to fix my spelling here, said that the class that collected the most amount of tin cans would have the chance to buy, let's say, to use a Toby. Sorry, cat. Chance to use a camera to make a movie. Jenny was very interested in. Cannot type this. Interested. Let me just retype that. Interested in helping make a movie. All right. So now we didn't say anything about this Jenny actually getting to direct the movie. That's where you're going to start trashing it. That's the middle events. That's where the problem is introduced. Because again, thinking back to this, Jenny is having that conflict with Beth because Beth also wants to direct the movie. So we're going to stop here as far as our writing together. Let's take a look at our sentences here. This is sentence number 1, sentence number 2, sentence number 3, sentence number 4. Whoops, sentence number 4 is right there. Sentence number 5, sentence number 6. So just in this part, I have 6 sentences. Okay? If I continue with the same thing I'm doing right now, I should be adding another at least 5 to 6 sentences here and here. So let's say for this amount of writing, you should have around 15 to 20 sentences. This is what I'm expecting as second graders that you turn in when you're turning in this writing. Some of you are doing a really great job of stretching these details out, but I definitely want to be very transparent and honest. Some people are doing the very minimum here, and they're writing 4 to 5 sentences. And um, if you're in Eastern and your work is getting resent back to you on Seesaw, it's because you're not stretching those details out. So I want to make sure that you're stretching those details out as much as possible. Now, to end our video, just like every video, to make sure that you're watching the video, I'm adding my secret word in it, and it's dolphin. Let me tell you a little story about this. Just recently, I had the opportunity of visiting my sister. She just moved with her husband, who was just stationed in the Army, to North Carolina. And she, unfortunately, has been down there for a long time and hasn't seen any of the family because they're in the military. But I just recently, and I can't really show you the photo because it's not going to show up on here. I had the opportunity. I don't know if you can see this here. Um, I yeah, there you can see a little fin in the corner. I had the opportunity to go paddleboarding, and I don't know if you know what paddleboarding is. It's basically like surfing, but standing up and just going really slowly. When I was out in the ocean with my brother-in-law, my sister's husband, and while we were out there, these dolphins came up to us for about half an hour, and they just splashed around us. And it was a really, really cool experience. And that actually happened this past weekend in the Carolinas. So our secret word today in our writing is the word dolphin. Put right dolphin somewhere in your writing at the very end or up here before you actually start your writing. Well, that's all we have for today. I hope this has been helpful. Please reach out if you have any questions, and I will see you all tomorrow, Thursday, for a new writing assignment. Bye, everyone. Have a great afternoon.